Kevin Donnellan is 11 years old and lives with his family in a suburb of Liverpool. In the first few weeks of her pregnancy, his mother Agnes Donnellan took 5 sleeping tablets. The tablets were called Distaval. They contained the drug Thalidomide. Kevin was born without arms or legs. He has no shoulders or hips and severe internal damage. There are over 400 thalidomide children in this country, and Kevin is one of the most severely affected. The thalidomide affair has been the subject of a 10-year legal battle between the parents and the manufacturers of the drug, Distillers Biochemicals. Distillers have always denied negligence. About 60 cases have already been settled. Kevin and his parents made one of the highest out-of-court settlements with Distillers. A trust will administer the award of £22,000 until Kevin is 18. 370 cases are still before the courts. While legal proceedings continue, it is difficult to discuss publicly questions of responsibility and compensation. So tonight, World in Action goes to Liverpool to report A Day in the Life of Kevin Donnellan.
The sister came round to the ward about 11 o'clock in the evening, and I thought it was very odd when she came over to my bed, and she asked me, did I smoke? And I said, yes, I did, which I thought was odd at that hour of the night, especially a sister in a hospital asking me. So she gave me a cigarette, which I choked on, and then she said, how do you feel? I said, oh, fine, I think. So she said, I'm terribly sorry, but I have to tell you that you have a little boy. He has a lovely face, which he has, but he's got very tiny arms and legs. Of course, I looked at her. I thought they were perfect arms and legs, you see, but a midget maybe, I don't know. And I said, oh, I didn't really know what else to say. You know, I couldn't really imagine he was like he was. It was just that she said small arms and legs, and then she gave me a sleeping tablet, and that was it, you know, because when I woke up the next morning, I thought I had dreamed all this, and I couldn't imagine what she meant. Anyway, the doctors came the next day to tell me fully what was the matter with him, which was he had no arms or legs, but 2 fingers on the left, and 3 little fingers on his right shoulder, with just 2 little feet attached to his bottom. Of course, I hadn't seen him, but she told me this. Well, he told me this. And, of course, I broke down, naturally. And, of course, I didn't want to see him. They asked me would I like to see him. Of course, I didn't feel I was fit enough then anyway. I don't think I really wanted to see him at the time. But anyway, about a week afterwards, I used to ask about the baby, how he was. And they used to say he was doing fine, but they didn't really hold much hope of him living anyway, because they thought he would have about 3 months to live at the most. So just before I was due to come out of hospital, which was near the Christmas, they asked me would I like to see him. So I thought I would anyway, so I went down in a wheelchair to have a look at him. Of course, they just took the bedclothes back, and then of course I realised, you know, what I'd imagined, but it was worse than what I had imagined, which was a terrible shock. Of course, I came out of there collapsed and so on. But then a nurse came over to me and said I wouldn't take him home because you couldn't possibly look after him, and if I was you, I would leave him here and just go home to your family. But when she said that, with having 4 children, you see, the mother instinct sort of came up, because I didn't think she had any right to tell me what to do with my child, so this is the temper. So I said, no, I would take him home. I would like to take him home, even if he did have 3 months to live, because after all, he was mine. I had 4 other children, so why should he be treated any differently, you see? So we did, we brought him home. Right, Kev, come on, here we go. I'd like to hurry a bit this morning because we're a wee bit late, okay?
We're always late for school.
I know we're always late, but that's your fault. You shouldn't go to bed late, should you?
I don't go to bed late.
You do, you know. There you are.
Not too much toothpaste.
I'm not putting too much toothpaste down. I'm just putting a wee little bit on there. Now get scrubbing the back as well, okay? That's a good boy. Right, and the back. Where's your water?
Where's the water?
Okay. Okay then.
One more.
One more. Don't swallow it. Right. Hang on. He has to be taken to the toilet. He can't possibly do that. We have to dress and wash and bath him. Come on, Elizabeth.
Hurry up, Liz.
You're going to be late. Hurry up now, there's a good girl. Everything, as a matter of fact, what an ordinary child does, we have to do for Kevin, except he can't feed himself. Do you get heavier, Kev? Eaten the day before.
Is that the time?
It is. You. When he was a baby, we did have lots of problems because I did have other small children. I don't think he hardly cried. He never had a dummy. He was great. It was just he had these sicknesses which even the doctors didn't know what it was. Sweating and heat. You'd put him in a cotton. You couldn't put bedclothes on him because of the sweat problem. We couldn't buy nylon clothes because it was no good for the body heat. You had to buy special linen clothes and things like this. Of course, you had to cut them all up, you know, he was so tiny. If you put a baby's nightie on, it used to just fall off, you know, and you had to sort of pin everything up, and it was terribly awkward. Oh.
Trousers next.
Here we go. Now get that little foot in there.
Right.
These trousers have just about had it. Oh. Oh. There. Okay.
Don't scratch with that brush.
I'm not scratching with that.
Well, it does scratch, doesn't it?
Well, I'll buy a new one, a softer one, eh? Okay. There.
We're getting out of the wet.
Kevin has an attendant to go with him to school because as this taxi goes round corners, Kevin could fall off and bang his head. The taxi and the escort is provided by the educational authorities. Also the attendant in the school, that's paid for by the educational authorities, not from the social services. When Kevin was 4.5, we did have a visitor from an educational department, and the only place they could find for Kevin was a school called Greenbank, which is in Liverpool. Now, in the school, there's children are spastics and spina bifida and different sort of handicaps, but I had to send him there because I didn't really think at that point that an ordinary school would take him, so we agreed. He went by taxi as usual, a day school, because although it is a boarding school, I wouldn't let him be a boarder anyway. And I found it wasn't really right for Kev because they weren't teaching him anything. They were just giving him coloured bricks to play with and childish things, and my little boy, although he was only 4.5, did have a brain which had to be used, and he just weren't doing this. Anyway, he was there for about, I would say, a year. And with having arguments with the education authorities and so on, Miss Skelly in the Liverpool school heard about the kiddies, and she thought she'd take a chance and take them anyway, so she did, and it's worked out fine. But the local school wouldn't have them. The headmaster there said that they couldn't take the responsibility of having Kevin in case he had an accident. We could sue them, which I wouldn't have done anyway. And they just didn't have the facilities, so they wouldn't take him.
Now, we're going to talk about being alone. I want you to think about being alone. I'll tell you what we'll do. Close our eyes. Close our eyes. Let's concentrate our minds, perhaps on remembering when we were, or perhaps imagining what it is like to be like this. Imagine we are not in this room. All right. When you thought about being lonely, was there anything round about you? Did you see any shapes or colours or buildings? Or what did you see?
It was pitch black and there's nothing around me.
It was pitch black and there was nothing around you. Did you see anything, Kevin, around about you?
Just black, sir.
It was just black.
And misty.
Black and misty.
He gets on great at school because he's such a lovable little boy, you see, and I think everybody takes to him, you know, so great. And he isn't a moaning child. He has a very happy disposition and he seems to make friends wherever he goes. He loves school, really loves it.
How did the other children react when Kevin first went to his new school?
The ordinary children, well, one kid actually fainted. Which is quite true. The first day Kevin was there, she came round the passage as Kevin was coming round. She just went out like a light. And that, of course, same kid is a great friend of him today. I think they were a little bit apprehensive and wasn't really sure. But anyway, the kids are so nice anyway that they get on fine now. But they were a little bit, you know, but nothing to worry about because after a week or so they'd all settled in nice and everything went great after that.
I have a lot of fun in school and I do everything, well, nearly everything what the other children do, and I get along quite well with children. And
what things do you like doing at school?
The best subject is history, because I want to be a historian. Well, I haven't really decided about that yet.
What sort of history do you like? Any particular period?
Well, this year we're learning about the Industrial Revolution in about the 19th century and the 18th century.
What sort of things can't you do at school that the other children do?
Well, games. Well, I don't have games because I can't do games with the other children.
What do you do when they have games?
Well, I go, if Mrs. Bailey, the school attendant, is in, well, I do my exercises on my limbs. Or I go to Miss Kemp's room and go with children there.
Does it ever make you sad when you see the other children playing games that you can't do?
No.
Well, when he has his holidays, this is the worst part. This is sometimes, I'm afraid, I tend to take a tranquilizer because Kevin gets extremely bored, you see, and of course with not going to the local school, he's not really attached to the community. He goes to school outside the area, which is Liverpool, so therefore his friends live so far away to just knock at the door and come in to play with him.
Kevin, are you going to have jelly? And cream? Yes, jelly and cream. Take your place. Yes, come along.
Some people are quite nice, but I would say 60% look at Kevin as though he had actually fell from Mars because, you know, they sort of stop, stare, and they don't believe. one person actually shuddered when she seen him. She actually shuddered and sort of walked away quickly. This is the reactions we do get from people. They just can't believe their eyes, actually. But this hurts. It does hurt.
How much have you told Kevin about his handicaps? How much does he know?
Oh, he knows. Because he grew up to be such a sensible boy. He is sensible in that respect. He knows everything, how he was born that way. I told him about the sleeping tablet. And he knows practically everything, because we feel he should do.
Do you feel that his life is becoming easier as he gets older or harder?
No, I think the problems are getting more greater, because see, when he was a baby you could wrap him up in a shawl and that was it, but he's getting bigger, and of course he goes out a lot. We take him on holiday, which is a bit of a drag at times, because you have to take a wheelchair, artificial legs and so on, and of course then you meet the public, and of course the reactions are so different from different people. Some people are shocked, some people are very sad, and you get the sentimental people, but you also get people that just don't want to look at them, that turn away and don't want to know.
It's a awful day, isn't it?
Pardon?
Terrible day.
It's a nasty day today. Couldn't be a worse day, could it?
Somebody in the House of Commons stood up last week and said that this country had the best artificial limbs in Europe. Well, maybe they have, but they just do not suit my child, because a slight push and he's right over, as though you're falling off a ladder, and he's had many cuts, he's had stitches in his head. These things do happen when you are training in artificial limbs. He practices in them every day. But this is not just to get him to walk in them. This is to help his muscles, not for Kevin to walk, because I don't think he'll ever do it in these legs.
Yes. It's a pity it's a wet day today, isn't it? Otherwise you wouldn't have gone out to play. Or gone on the field.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable?
Yes, thank
You
you.
sure?
What kind of things, actual physical things, does a child like Kevin need that ordinary children don't need? I'm thinking in terms of gadgets, for example.
Oh, we haven't got any. We've tried to get them from the social services, but we've had no luck whatsoever. As a matter of fact, we asked for a sliding door 5 years ago, and we still haven't had it yet. Oh, for the ultimate, what they need is a bungalow which is specially adapted for Kevin's purposes, a specially designed bungalow. Now, there's one child, I believe, has got this, and this was paid by Lady Hall and the local council, who went half each. It cost, I think, in the region of about £17,000. Now, that is the ultimate, what these children need. I can't see them ever getting it, because we certainly couldn't afford it. So you're back to what you can do yourself in your own home. An awful lot of people don't believe this, but I have to buy a new pair of trousers every week. And you have to buy good ones, because cheap ones, they just wouldn't work. Of course, after the first day, of course, they start to get a hole in them. The second day, you put a patch in them. And then, of course, the third day, you have another patch in them. And by the end of the week comes, you've just got to throw them out. Trousers don't last more than a week. Of course, then we buy the shirts, and, of course, the sleeves have to be cut, and they have to be altered to suit Kevin, of course, and then a dressmaker has to do this for me.
Go on. See that? This? No, the Queen.
Kevin's final settlement money didn't in fact come through until 3 years ago. How did you manage financially in the first 8 years of his life?
Oh, we didn't really. We just sort of struggled along the best we could, you know. This is what we had to do. It was hard to make ends meet, but we managed. The kids were fed okay, and I could manage to get what we needed, but there was nothing like social life. We had no social life for a long time. And extras and things which kiddies like for Christmas and so on. No, we didn't have any of this. We didn't even have a car then, actually, which we needed very badly.
Did you get into debt?
Well, yes, we did a wee bit, yes. But we didn't actually get the bailiffs. You know, we managed.
Hey, Elizabeth, I asked you to take the Queen. You give me my own piece back. So,
I suppose the only guilt I feel is in case Kevin blames me in any way. He doesn't blame me now, but I often wonder if he's older, say about 20, 25, when he has the adult, when he's an adult, whether he will think and brood and maybe blame me. I don't know. I hope he doesn't.
Did the early years of your life with Kevin have any kind of effect on your relationship with your husband?
Yes, it did. It was very strained at the time, mainly because of my emotional circumstances. Yes, it was a great strain. We used to row a lot and things like this, you know. Used to say things we didn't really mean. Big rows, some of them, you know. But we came through it.
A number of parents, in fact, have split up.
Yes, they
since
have,
the
yes.
birth of their children.
Yes.
Did you reach that kind of pitch at all?
I think we were on the verge of it at one time. Yes, we were. We were on the verge of it. I didn't quite get to it, thank God, but we were, yes. I think through the emotional strain, because the both of us was under this great strain. And we had some terrible rows.
About Kevin? About the situation?
No, not about Kevin. We never ever blamed Kevin for anything. Never. I wouldn't do it. It was caused through health factor more than anything, because we both worked so hard. I mean, he had his job and then he had to come home and he had to face me, who was on tranquilizers and very low, and of course I didn't have the patience with him, he didn't have the patience with me, and of course we just blew up. But we never ever blamed Kevin. Never.
Did you ever blame each other?
No, thank God, no. My husband never blamed me.
Can you give me the actual details of the settlement?
Well, Kevin was awarded £22,000. I myself personally was awarded £2,000, and my husband about £1,800. Now, when I got my money, we had moved into this bungalow well before we got the money. We did this well before we got 1 penny. This is how we moved in here. Now, the 2,000 I got, it was ploughed back into this bungalow because there was no central heating, which Kevin needs because he's so low on the floor. There was no gas. We needed a gas fire. Of course, we had dry rot, which cost us a lot of money. We had to put new pipes in. We had to put a new brick wall in. So my money was ploughed back into this bungalow. Not 1 penny was spent on me or Kevin or my husband. It was just spent on this bungalow. My husband's money was spent on a car, a decent car, which we needed for Kev. So that's what we did with it. We didn't have anything else, you know, gay holidays and good clothes. Not a penny we spent on ourselves, no.
How long do you imagine Kevin's share of the money is likely to last him?
Well, I would say about 6 years, because if you look at this fact, I mean, who's going to employ him? I think his chances of being employed would be practically nil at the moment. Mind you, in 8 years things might change and the government may do something, I don't know. But if he was an ordinary man and he went to work, he'd be earning that. He'd earn about, what, £4,000 a year. Well, there, 20,000 is 5 years' wages. You see, so it's just his earning power for 6 years.
When you look at the future for Kevin, what do you feel that it holds for him?
Well, he'd never be able to get married. He'd never be the father of children. These things worry me a bit. They may worry Kevin, I don't know. He might think of these things. But he'd never get married. That would be a physical impossibility anyway. I can't see anybody marrying him. And
he is in fact sterile?
Yes, he is, yes. He's damaged down below, yes. Mm-hmm.
Do you think he'll ever work?
Well, I have my doubts at this point. But I'm hoping this is where the government will step in to do something. This is what I want the government to do. I mean, if an employer won't take Kevin, which I doubt, I'd like the government to do something for these children, like workshops or something, but not a boring job. He needs something he can use his brains with. I mean, I don't want him to pack little things in boxes, for instance. I mean, that's just a dead end. I want him to use his brain. That's a job. And I think this will have to come from government level with these severely handicapped children, at least, anyway.
Who will look after Kevin eventually?
If anything happens to my husband and I, well, this we don't know. I'm hoping the family, I'm hoping their brothers and sisters will have a conscience in this. I think they will, because we are close-knit and we have brought them up this way to care for Kevin as we have. I mean, we're all one, and we all must share. And this is what I've tried to teach my children, that Kevin's responsibility is theirs as well as ours. And I think they're good kids, and I think they will abide by this. I pray they do, anyway.